Hey, it's Dave from Bullpen Cycles, and this is my Norton, and I don't even know what year it is. Let's see. They said it was a 1965 Norton G15 CS, which I think CS is competition scrambler. But it's not a G, because a G would be the matchless version. It's an N15 CS, and well, I think it's a 65, but I don't know. I don't know anything about this bike. I don't know anything about this particular bike also, because I bought this bike, well, it was sight unseen. Well, you can call it sight unseen. I had a picture. I had one little tiny photograph, and that's it. And I only had to see that photograph. The only time I had to look at it was minutes before this thing went up for auction. So you could say, I don't know what the heck I was doing. I just bid on it. So how'd I do? And let's find out. So when you're bidding at Mecum, you agree, not implicitly but expressly, to Mecum's own rules. And those rules include this. It says, winning bidders shall accept their lot with all fault, including but not limited to qualitative conditions, defects, imperfections, whether structural, mechanical, cosmetic, blah, 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 latent, it's so-called. That means it's on you or me. Mecum is not responsible for any defect, but here's where you do sometimes have recourse. While consigners may be liable for false statements, bidder acknowledges and agrees that as is, where is risk allocation inures to the benefit of the consigner. Well, that's going to give you a little bit of a hurdle, but that's not what we have here. In this case, on this Norton, it wasn't in the catalog. And in fact, there was only one photo that showed up online the night before the auction. So if you're bidding online, you know nothing. You don't even know that this is coming up, because they put it in late the night before the auction. It shows up that next morning, has a lot number, and runs through first thing in the morning. There was one picture. And of course, it didn't say whether it ran. It didn't say whether it had a key. It didn't say nothing. So, are you gonna bid on that? Well, I did. I bid on it. And, well, I don't think it's a scam, because I knew all that stuff. But let's just say I broke every rule at the auction. Well, I take them as guidelines anyway.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
So let's see, how did I do? That's what we're going to find out today. So this is actually, well, it started as a matchless because Norton owned Matchless and AJS. They were called AMC at the time. No, that's not American Motors. I'm not sure what that stood for, but it was a conglomeration of lesser known English brands. Norton, which was probably the most known of the three, I'm guessing because of the Norton Manx, which was a race-proven single, bought Matchless and AJS. And I'm told the story of this bike is they wanted a desert racer. So they started, well, they tried a Matchless G15 and the engine broke down. But they also ran an Atlas, you know, that's with the famous featherbed frame. and the frame cracked. Well, it's a famous frame, but it's for road racing. It's not for desert racing. So somebody came up with the idea putting, which what they thought was the stronger motor, the Norton motor, into the matchless frame. And that's how this bike came to be. But this particular one, I know nothing about because, well, it showed up at Mecum on the line and it wasn't in the catalog. And the few pictures they put up at the last minute, actually they put them up the night before, it was actually just one. So I had one crummy photo. And let's see, what did I pay for this bike? I have to look it up. Let me look it up. This is all the stuff that came with it. Came with parts list, 66, 67, and 68, and that's not this bike. I'll tell you the difference between that and later models. Another Norton motorcycle service manual, purportedly covering the N15. This is a copy of the title. It is titled as a 65 Norton, and what did I pay? The hammer price was $3,000 and the buyer's premium was $5,000. So my price was $3,500 out the door. Now I'm a dealer, so I didn't have to pay sales tax. So I took a $3,500 flyer, which isn't a lot. Not like the $100,000 car from Hoovie's garage, but I don't have millions of dollars, so today we're gonna find out if can I say it? If I pissed my money down the drain. Well, it's interesting, a couple of things. I noticed when I got it that the fuel lines were clear, which means they haven't had fuel sitting in them. And these bowls have drains on them, which is telling me that somebody probably stored this right and drained the carburetors. And we know that, look, he says right hand, 2, so there's notes. When they took it apart, they wanted to get it together correctly. Is that good? Well, it might be good, or it might mean that they didn't know what they were doing, because, I mean, left and right intake manifolds are the same. It's good to know which carburetor, left and right, because you want the tickler to be on the outside. Looks like, so I'm guessing they replaced that nut. They put in, those are new gaskets. Here they have, these are locking, what do you call them? Exhaust manifold nuts. They put these locks here. So, and I think you're supposed to put one there and one here to keep that from spinning. I think they're actually wrong, but this looks new. So somebody was in this. This has got the same locking nut. Now that doesn't actually do anything because it's not engaging the nut. That's kind of weird, I think, anyway. Tell me if I'm wrong. We have N15 CS113250. You can't see it because it's vertical. 13250. So the numbers match. Here we have folding foot pegs. Now understand this was the scrambler version, but after it came out they determined it was much too heavy, and that's when they came out with the P11, which is the one to have. But hey, $3,500. Did I say it was $3,500? So here, can I do that? We have some kind of extension welded on to the side stand, and Same thing on the center stand. Which folks tell me that if you're running knobby tires and they have a different profile, that's why folks would extend the side stand and center stand. So that's not necessarily a hodgepodge. What else can we see about this before we start diving into it? Okay, I mentioned when I bought it, we know the tank is creamed. Mileage, I don't remember what it is. It's like 5,000 or 6,000 miles, but it's a Lucas speedometer, which means absolutely nothing. It's funny how that spun all the way out. And this is spun all the way out. The megaphone mufflers are wrong. I think it would look great with upswept pipes. All right, here is a anti-sump valve. That's the same air cleaner they use on an Atlas. That is a Zener diode on a little piece of aluminum. You wouldn't think that'd be finned. So look at this, is this heavy stuff from the old matchless frame. So let's start taking this apart, see how I did. Seat comes off, looks like here. Oh, that's kind of weird. This looks like a stud that bolts the subframe, but it also holds on the seat, which is kind of weird because you wouldn't be loosening the subframe every time you take off the seat. That seems kind of weird to me. Oh, we would have had a air pump here. That's not there. Here's another sidecar mount. That's what these are. So this is really a overly heavy frame. That's probably what birthed the idea to use it as a scrambler. That's probably a Whitworth socket. Let's see. Yes. Yeah. Oil cap's in the way there. So that's how they have the seat bolted on. That's narrow, but the seat clamp is wide, so something's missing there. Probably a couple of spacers so that you don't have to loosen the subframe to take the seat off. Oh, and look here. This doesn't look right. Where'd they get this fender? I thought it was the right fender. There's a made in England decal. That's a way to fake it. Wonder if it came from another Norton or they just faked it. So what's going on there? Let's get this toolbox open. Well, that doesn't look promising. What do we got here? 12 volt. Now, is this the 12 volt system? I don't know. I guess I gotta pull the taillight and see if it's 12 volt. Why is that all scuffed? Almost like they filed it down. Oh, I'm too blind to see. 12 volt. All right, so we have a 12 volt system. What they do here, this is not the right battery setup. All right, here we have a, assuming it's positive ground, here we have a positive terminal that goes nowhere. They could ground up anywhere. Let's get rid of this. Here they cut the battery box, glued that in there. What are they doing here? So now I don't know what 12 volt battery would have been in here. Some of these early Nortons, I know the Electra had two 6 volt batteries to get 12. This is the toolbox area. This is where the battery box goes. And I think it screws in back here with a battery hold down. At least, let's check the part manual. I have some parts manuals. That's not it. That's Enfield. Single. Super Clubman Vertical Twin, 1950. AJS and Matchless Twin. That might help. This is the Norton manual that came with it. Now, 66 is different because this has a magneto. 66, I think, wouldn't have a magneto, but probably has a points cam somewhere. And the thing about old Norton manuals is, well, look, there's no diagrams. That doesn't tell you anything. And the service manuals are just as bad. And it doesn't give us a breakdown of anything. Single, a bunch of entries. So, near as I can tell, there's a battery box that goes in there. I don't know exactly how. And look, oh, they got that tab down in there bent funny for a fender mount. What's that thing? That doesn't look stock. Well, what I was trying to find is, where do I even have battery leads? We know red is positive and it goes to ground. So where's the negative lead go? This is coming up from the alternator. What's this white thing? That's coming up from the center of the coil. That's probably a kill. And it's wired in, and this is nicked. I wonder if they had a wire wrapped around here. Somewhere you need to pick up the negative lead to power the unit. Now, if there's no lead here, I don't know if they were trying to wire the battery and they never did. Was it running on a capacitor? And this thing, what is this thing? I have one of those in my stash of stuff. It says Timpanium Corp. This looks like a regulator of some sort. And they have two wires on the center post, which looks like ground. And they're coming from the alternator. Why would they ground the alternator? And we got one of them tied in here with a bunch of other stuff all connected together, this brown and white. And I think brown and white is normally the power lead. So I don't know what they were trying to do there. I don't know if they were trying to run the lights off the generator maybe, because I don't need that to run the bike because I have a magneto. All I need is a magneto and a kill button. So this is going to be my kill button because this is the white lead, I'm sure. That's the same white lead that's going here, which means this is going to be my, well, that can't be the power directly because if I ground it, you normally don't ground the battery. I don't know what they were doing there. That's disappointing. So I got, well, and look at this one. This one's cut. And that is my switch. It says ignition on off emergency, but I'm betting that's just for the lights because of the magneto. What we're going to do now is see if we have spark. Let's just forget about the lights. Forget about the wiring cluster, whatchamacallit. Let's see if we're going to have spark, and then we'll know whether this thing may or may not run. Oh, they're loose. They're not even tight. Brand new. I don't think that's ever been fired. Let me see if this one's finger tight. Look at that, finger tight. Well, that's not promising. Another new plug. Are they even the right ones? N9YC. I don't remember. I don't remember my champions. N4C. That sounds, well, look at that. They don't even match. Well, we can see if we have spark. All right, now I don't know if I have to use this switch or not. Oh, did I see something? I gotta turn the light off. Hang on, I think I saw something. If the spark is this weak that you have to go to ghost mode, that's not good, but let's just see. Ugh. I ain't seen it. Well, if I was seeing spark, I was imagining things, or else it's spark by Lucas Prince of Darkness standards. Because I don't think I have any spark. Let's take a look at the points. See if we can get in that magneto. Alright, so this is the magneto cap. And that center is ground. And of course the wire broke. Which means I should probably test it again because that takes the kill switch out of the equation. But those are your points there. I can't say they look new or fresh, and I'll tell you, that looks like a bear to get in there. That almost looks like you have to take the mag out, because how do you get in there to set those points from over here? Any of you matchless guys want to come? Is this the correct mag that would be on this bike? I'm going to see if I can show you this. But if you look, this is going to be hard for me to do. If you look closely, you see that points. The cam is not on the center, it's on the circumference. Let me see if I can point out where. See how this rides on the perimeter? And the perimeter thickness changes. So as that rotates around, that's what opens and closes the points. It actually rotates like this. See if I can do it. Now I'm reaching over the bike, so I don't know if I can. I can't. Let me see. I'll go very slowly so I don't drop the camera. See how that moves? Oh my gosh. Oh, I have to show you. Oh my gosh. What they say about Chrysler? This changes everything. Okay, so all I did was I broke that kill wire from the mag. Whoa! I don't have a camera Dan, but that's a nice blue spark. Huh. So I'm going to dress those points just a little bit or spray some electronic contact cleaner in there. I got spark. This might run. I don't need no stinking lights because that's a totally different electronic system. I'd like to figure all that out before I light it up, or at least disconnect it so that I don't fry anything. And we might hear this baby run.